Deity PR-4 versus Zoom F3 versus Tascam FR-AV2. Which of these audio recorders should you buy? Spoiler, because I respect your time like that. If you're on a low budget and you want something simple to use, just get the Zoom F3. But if you want the best user experience, especially if you use timecode, there's no competition, get the PR-4. And I guess if you see the FR-AV2 on sale, it does have more features than the F3. Just hold up, I'll explain more in the rest of the video. But first, hey, my name is Matt Johnson, and for the sake of ethics, this video is not sponsored by any of these audio recording companies. Sweetwater sent me the F3, and both Tascam and Deity sent me their recorders so I can make reviews of them. But this video is presented by Musicbed, and I was thinking, you know what people are probably wondering? Which the heck of these recorders should you buy? I've already kind of spoiled it for you, but here's the deep dive. Line these recorders all up next to each other, and you will see that the FR-AV2 and PR-4 are roughly the same size. I would say they're pretty darn close, but then you have the F3, and it's definitely more of like a square, boxy shape, but it's also a bit taller, mostly because Zoom decided to add these giant metal bars to it. That was their attempt to sort of give it a cage of some sort. But if we're talking about cages and mounting points, both the Zoom and Tascam only have one mounting point on the bottom of the recorder, but Deity actually offers not only a mounting point on the top, a mounting point on the bottom. Heck, you can get a whole cage that they make for it, which is $60 at the time of making this video, but dang, it's pretty cool. It adds a ton of mounting points to this recorder. But I guess alternatively, SmallRig does make a little mounting block for the F3 that goes to the bottom. That thing's cool. Or I guess there are screen protectors for the FR-AV2 I found. Sorry, Tascam, there's not much available for you. SmallRig, what are you doing? Make some accessories for this thing. Anyways, the Zoom and Tascam screens are on top, while the Deity is on the side. And while I kind of like the Game Boy aesthetic of the F3 with its black and white screen, the color screens of the Tascam and Deity are also far better. If I had to choose which one of these devices is the easiest to use, because looking at them, there's a lot of buttons and even some knobs, this is an area where the Zoom F3 really shines, because this recorder is designed to only be capable of recording in 32-bit float, and it does not have any gain controls on it. You can change the volume by going in here and boosting it or lowering it, but that's only going to change what you're hearing in your headphones, not what's actually on the audio file that's being recorded, which means that whenever it comes time to set this recorder up, all you have to do is tell it whether the input has phantom power or not, and then throw a memory card in, press record, and as long as you got that memory card in there, it's gonna record high quality audio. It is truly a set it and forget it device, which is why I absolutely love and recommend the Zoom F3. It's easily the most beginner friendly of these audio recorders, and great if you are just getting started. But hold up, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I have bad news for you. Zoom also cut some corners to hit the cheaper price of the F3, and one of those corners that they cut, aside from the black and white screen, was that the F3 is only capable of receiving XLR inputs. No, there is no combo quarter-inch jack here like you can find on the Tascam or a Deity, and no 3.5mm input like you get on the PR-4 as well. Now, of course, you can use adapters to get around this XLR limitation, but I really prefer the extra versatility of the Tascam and the Deity. And in addition, if you are looking for audio cables that will work with any of these audio recorders, or any other audio recorder for that matter, you should check out my audio cables that I made in collab with my friends at Kondor Blue. They offer extremely high quality audio transmission signal. They have my face on them too. Seriously, look at this. If I zoom in right over here, you can see it's got my face laser engraved onto the end of the cable. Isn't that cool? Not to mention, you get this convenient carrying pouch that has XLR, quarter-inch, and RCA cables all organized, which these are the three most common audio cables that you'd be using when filmmaking. All of them have an XLR connection on the other end, which makes it very easy to connect any of these three audio recorders. And best of all, this comes with a lifetime warranty, not just the bag, the cables too. So if anything breaks for any reason, just email Kondor Blue and they'll send you a new one. That is a rarity these days, right? And that's one reason that I love Kondor Blue. I'll link to those audio cables and the bag down in the video description. Anyways, let's talk Bluetooth and timecode, because here's where the PR-4 starts to really separate itself from the offerings from Zoom and Tascam. To be clear, all three of these devices support Bluetooth. But Zoom and Tascam opted to take a very similar approach to Bluetooth in that whenever you purchase these devices, they are cheaper, but neither of them comes with Bluetooth enabled by default. Yes, it's very strange, but they actually have a separate Bluetooth dongle that inserts into the device that you can purchase. And for Zoom, it's going to cost $50 to buy this dongle and enable Bluetooth support. And for Tascam, their dongle is a little bit more protected over here on the side. You have to like work to get it out. But once you fish it out there, this Bluetooth adapter actually costs $70 and adds more features. So I do want you to factor that into your cost analysis whenever you're purchasing either the Zoom or Tascam, because if you're someone who likes Bluetooth like me, who doesn't, okay, Bluetooth's not great. I don't love Bluetooth, but I love the controls that I get from it. But as a standard, Bluetooth is still kind of janky, right? Nobody loves Bluetooth fully. Anyways, though, alternatively, on the other hand, you have Deity, which took a more modern and normal approach, where I would say, where they just threw Bluetooth support into the device. They're like, oh, you want Bluetooth? Yeah, it's just built in. Thanks, Deity. Wow. I mean, that seems really smart, right? There's no dongle to insert to keep track of. And that really leads us into talking about the apps for each of these three recorders. For context, the Tascam phone app will let you connect up to 5 devices over Bluetooth to control them. Zoom will let you connect to 10. And Deity's over here like, how many devices do you want? How about 48? Yes. It's pretty awesome. And if I had to compare the apps between these three devices, both Zoom and Tascam feel like very 1.0 app versions, even though they've been out for many years now. They're not pretty to look at. They're very utilitarian. Their app designers have never heard of transition animations. But then you have Deity with their Sidus audio app, and you can tell they're throwing tons of money at it. It's clean, it's intuitive, it feels modern, it's just a joy to use, and it actually works. I love this thing, and it's made even better that it works with all of their devices, unlike Zoom, which requires you to actually download a separate app for each separate model of audio recorder that you own. It's weird, dude. I don't know why they do that, but they do. Anyways, that leads us into talking about the big enchilada, as it were, timecode, because all three of these devices support timecode. But remember, you will need to purchase the Bluetooth adapter for the F3 and the FR-AV2 to enable wireless timecode support. And you should also know that both Zoom and Tascam farmed out their flavor of timecode to Atomos, and they use Bluetooth timecode, which I know Atomos is working on this. I really like them as a company, but it's been so many years since we have seen any updates to their UltraSync timecode devices, and they're falling behind. The screen sucks, the interface sucks. Look, we're getting into the weeds here. My point is that Bluetooth timecode kind of sucks with both of these recorders. I have tutorials showing you how to use it, but it's a pain. And if it does anything, it just makes Deity's timecode system look so much better because it actually uses radio waves, not Bluetooth, which I know that Bluetooth is also a radio wave, but my point is that it's a different kind of radio wave, and Deity's timecode creates a mesh network that enables all of their devices to talk to each other, and in short, it's more reliable, and it's really an ecosystem that they have fully built out, where you can buy the timecode devices, and a timecode slate, and a PR2 audio recorder, XLR audio recorder, Theos wireless mic pack, and now the PR-4 and all of that can work together wirelessly using the same exact timecode standard with everything being controlled with a smartphone app, which makes a ton of sense and it works extremely well. What's that meme? Hydrogen bomb versus one coughing baby? The PR-4 is the bomb and the Zoom and Tascam are the baby, at least when it comes to timecode. Now, that said, whenever it comes to cross-platform timecode compatibility with the F3, sorry, it's the budget option and you are limited to only using timecode over Bluetooth with other proprietary UltraSync devices. But with the FR-AV2 and PR-4, on the other hand, both of these devices include timecode input and output ports, which are just 3.5mm jacks that will enable them to send or receive linear timecode to any other device. So if you already have a lot of Atomos timecode devices or Tentacle Sync timecode devices, you could still use them with either of these recorders with these 3.5mm jacks, which I really appreciate because it's a way of helping everything communicate open source wise. It all works together for free. So if you care about timecode, at the very least, I would buy the FR-AV2 or if you want wired timecode as well as the best wireless timecode in my opinion, the PR-4 is so far ahead when it comes to timecode. It's a no-brainer. Now, I've been creating videos for a pretty long time now. I uploaded my first video to YouTube way back in 2006. We are talking over 20 years ago now. But one thing that hasn't changed through all my years of filmmaking is the need for good music that truly stands out and makes your audience pay attention to what you have created. And I gotta tell you, my first 5 years of video creation, we are talking 2006 to 2011, were really rough. Full of me scouring Creative Commons music sites for anything that I could possibly use. These days, on the other hand, we have the opposite problem. There are more music licensing sites and places you can find songs for your videos than ever before. Heck, AI will make you a song that sounds like whatever you want. It will suck, but it will do it. Thankfully, from 2011 onward, there has been one site that I have consistently chosen for music and that I recommend above all others, and that's the sponsor of this video, Musicbed. Since the very beginning, they have been laser focused on finding the absolute best emerging artists in the world with unique sounding music and providing us as filmmakers a way to license and use that music in your videos. For a decade and a half now, Musicbed has been my first choice anytime I'm looking for a song to use to help elevate the story that I'm trying to tell in my videos. And what's great is that because everything is so highly curated, I oftentimes find the song I'm looking for on literally the first page in less than a minute of searching, because there is so much good music to choose from. Let me put it this way. There's a reason I've kept choosing Musicbed over the last 15 plus years. And if you are looking for the best songs by real human artists, they have exactly what you're looking for. You can try it out for yourself with a free 14-day trial at the link in the video description. I know you're gonna love them as much as I do. Now, as far as storage goes for these recorders, both Zoom and Tascam take very common micro SD cards. You just pop it in and out, there's your little micro SD card. Really easy to use, with the F3 supporting cards up to 1 terabyte and Tascam supporting cards up to 512 gigabytes, both of which are fine, by the way. If you need to record even half a terabyte of audio, we're talking weeks upon weeks of recording straight here. Alternatively though, here's where it gets really interesting, because not only does the Deity PR-4 have a full-size SD card slot that support cards up to 1 terabyte, it is also the only one of these three devices that also comes with a built-in 64 gigabytes of storage on an SSD, which means, and don't worry, we're going to talk more about the price there toward the end, but whenever you are considering the cost between these three devices, keep in mind that you may not even need to buy a memory card for the PR-4 because it already has storage built in. Anyways, let's talk power. And here's where all three of these audio recorders differ. The F3 takes 2 AA batteries, the FR-AV2 takes 3 AA batteries, and the PR-4 is the odd man out because it doesn't support AA batteries. Instead, it uses NP-F550 rechargeable batteries, which are very common in the video camera space. And here is where we need to wade into the great battery debate, let's say, because some people love using replaceable AA batteries. I know that I've been a fan of using them for many years because they're so easy to get, quick to buy. Any store has them. If you're like out of juice and you're like, oh crap, I gotta get batteries right now, you can do that. And in addition, you can also just buy rechargeable batteries one time and use them for many years. But here's the issue, and it comes down to battery life. Remember, not all AA batteries are made equal, and while alkaline batteries are the cheapest, they also have the shortest battery life, with a good set of rechargeable batteries lasting longer, but by far the longest lasting batteries are going to be single-use lithiums. Side note, anytime any of these audio recorder companies make their battery life claims, they do it with lithium batteries because they last way longer, but they're also single-use and far more expensive. I'm not going to take a side here one way or the other in regards to batteries, but I do want you to know that a Deity NP-F550 battery only costs about $40 if it isn't on sale, and that is going to give you a similar battery life life as running lithium batteries on the FR-AV2 and F3 by my testing, but the difference is this battery is rechargeable and you only have to buy it once. And if you are filming a lot, you are quickly going to start saving money on batteries with the NP F550 in the long run. Not to mention that if you plug in a charger to the USB Type-C port on the side of the PR4, that will charge the internal NP F550 battery as well, unlike the Zoom and Tascam, which basically means that you can treat the PR4 like it has an internal battery if you wanted to and just charge it, but you could also buy a few extras in the event that you needed to swap them, which is really the best of both worlds in my opinion. Side note, by the way, I know I just mentioned USB Type-C. All three of these recorders have USB Type-C ports, and all three of them can also be used as a USB audio interface, which is fantastic, especially if you want to use a high quality mic for a Zoom call or podcast. Cool, Matt, USB-C, got it. What about audio quality? Because it would be wild if we had this huge discussion and I finally dropped to you at the end that the sound quality on one of these audio recorders sucks or something like that. But no, all three of these audio recorders sound incredibly good in my opinion. And if you don't want to just take my word for it, I will link to my reviews for each of them down in the video description. And I want you to know that each review was completely recorded with that specific audio recorder, so you can listen to how all of them sound. The main thing that you need to know is that from a preamp standpoint, all three recorders have a very low noise floor. And I've used the F3 and FR-AV2 for multiple years now, and I've never had any issues with clipping or noise from bringing up the audio levels. And even though I haven't had the PR4 for as long, I don't expect any issues with it either. So basically, from an audio quality standpoint, all three of these are a tie. But you know what isn't a tie? Which one of these audio recorders you should buy. If you are a beginner filmmaker who's purchasing either one of their first audio recorders, or if you're someone who wants a dead simple audio recorder that will literally turn on, make sure the memory card's inside, and then you can hit record on it knowing that you're getting high quality audio. It also happens to be the cheapest option. It is the Zoom F3, coming in at $300 at the time of recording this video. But it's been out for quite a while and I've definitely seen it for cheaper, so I will link down in the video description for where I found this recorder for the best price, as well as all the other recorders for you to check out. Next, you have the Tascam FR-AV2, and while it has some nice upgrades over the F3, especially in the area of combo XLR and 1/4 inch inputs and a color screen and a 3.5mm timecode input and output, which is wonderful to see and does make it far more versatile when it comes to working with other flavors of timecode than just what you would get from Atomos with the F3. The main thing that you need to keep in mind is that if you want to be able to wirelessly control this recorder or the Zoom F3, you're going to need to purchase that Bluetooth dongle that is going to cost you anywhere from $50 to $70. And whenever you factor that's $70 into the cost of the FR-AV2. Yes, you do get wireless monitoring over Bluetooth headphones with this recorder, which you do not get with either of the competition. But at the time of recording this video, the FR-AV2 costs $400, and that is without the $70 Bluetooth adapter, which brings us finally to the Deity PR-4, which wins on timecode, wins on battery with its NP F550, wins with 2 more channels of audio, and it has Bluetooth built in, no adapter required, for $450, which is $20 less than the FR-AV2 with Bluetooth. So let me put it this way. If you can find an FR-AV2 on sale where it is significantly cheaper, that's where it starts to make sense. But otherwise, the Zoom F3 for a lower budget and the PR4 for a higher budget make a lot more sense in my personal educated opinion. Remember, I have links down in the description where you can buy all 3 of these recorders for the absolute best price, and I'll also throw in a link to my wedding videographer gear guide down in the description as well. This guide is going to show you all of the best equipment that I recommend for wedding filmmaking and filmmaking in general, and it's in a nice PDF format with links. You're gonna love it, and you can download it completely for free at the link down in the video description. Thanks so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe if you want to see more videos about filmmaking and deep dives on audio recorders, and have a great day.